What's up, guys? This is Bolvar the Fell-Handed, and today I have some Liberte footage for you on Dukla Pass Standard Battle. The Greens have taken the southwestern spawn and the Reds the northeastern. Now, I've always wanted this tank, simply because it has a giant chicken on the side. This thing just pushes people out of the way. You know, this is a very awesome looking tank. It's a heavy that kind of acts like a medium. It's a pocket medium. Let's go ahead and call it that. When I was requesting this tank, I said, you know what, let me get the FCM50T. And then I thought about it and I said, you know what, let me get the Liberte. So here we are. You know, excellent gun depression, excellent penetration. The gun is amazing. It just doesn't have tons of armor. It has some armor. You can actually block a little bit of damage. This game is, you know, okay in the fact that everything normally gets killed before I can get there. Even though this thing is a little bit fleet of foot, there's not a whole lot I could have done. It doesn't necessarily have the power to weight of, say, for example, the CDC, although it is about that same size. That large French, you know, heavy tank, because that's kind of what the CDC reminds me of, and this reminds me of the CDC, so it all revolves around the same thing. Anyway, moving on. Enough about the tank. We've got some long-range shots here. It looks like he just backed out. You know, RNG trolled me a little bit. I thought that guy was going to continue backwards. He did not. So we ended up missing that shot. We're going to put one in there, and it looks like we connected with him. But you know what? When that track gets fixed, he's just going to say, hey, I'm not going to peek my head out for a little bit, which is a wise decision. This vehicle does have excellent spotting distance for what it is. You know, I recommend this tank. It's solely, I mean, just because of the paint. You know, some of the premiums that come out with custom paint, you know, some are, I've always liked this. It's just, I mean, plus it's, you know, it's also red, white, and blue, so it works good for the states there. Okay, so moving on here, we have a gentleman here. That wasn't even close to him. Some of these light tanks, you know, when they are in full swing, are really, really tough to hit. I made a video yesterday with a T-44-100, and I was really connecting the shots of the light tanks. So it looks like for me, connecting with light tanks going full speed comes and goes. Here we have this gentleman again. Looks like he's still hiding behind that particular cover. We're putting a little bit of rounds on him right here, trying to lead into him. We managed to connect one with him. He's still in a good position. We don't have a ton of shots, but we did manage to stick that one in there. It looks to me like I could only see a little bit of him. It looks like he was partially covered. Those, in my opinion, are probably the hardest shots because you don't really know what you're going to hit, especially when you're having to lead someone. We're going to go ahead and try to take a clutch shot right there. We managed to connect it. It wasn't quite a clutch shot, but it was pretty close. I'm terrified this clicker is going to shoot me, so I'm like, you know what, let me get out of here, please. I have been finessed by clickers too many times. This is the first time I think I have ever seen this light tank. I said, wow, that is a weird looking light tank. I have no equipment on this tank, by the way, just in case you're wondering, you know, about reticle bloom, spotting, you know, rammer, excuse me, reload speed, what have you. Yeah, that was the first time I'd ever seen that light tank, so I was like, oh wow, that's a pretty odd looking light tank. How about that? Because normally when I'm going for light tanks, I was like, hey, we need to get those 10s, not necessarily the low end stuff. We actually put a round in there, and that was the spot we hit was literally the only thing we could see. So yeah, like I said, I don't do particularly awesome this game just because it was such a sweep. And you know, sometimes guys, you're going to have that, and there's no shame in that. I mean, you know, a lot of guys get frustrated when they're trying to mark the tank or, you know, what have you, and they just can't pump out the damage. You're not necessarily going to get that every game, guys. I mean, some games are going to be too successful. I know a lot of clans that only run no more than 2 or 3 man platoons, simply because there's enough damage to go around, things like that. And we're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. If we've got loads of guys, just everybody get in here. And if you've got a full competent platoon, then you can end up doing some amazing carries. Really kind of coordinate, because when you think about it, you can you can influence the outcome, of the game, just in general. I mean, just by having a third of the force. So I know I spoke on this when I did my platoon tactics a little bit, but it's still a fact. Okay, so moving on. Enough about that. Here they are on the cap. I said, you know what? As long as you guys can get close to them and just keep, tapping them to reset it, we will be fine. We had one gent stay back to kind of, get on their cap just to be on the safe side. We put a round into the side of that gentleman. We have just a little crack of daylight right here. Not anymore. We're going to go ahead and sneak one in that fella. Got one in him there. And now we're going to go ahead and move up here and see if we can't get another one in him. And it just does not happen for us. The light tank was like at A6 or A7 last time I saw him. So, I have no fear that the light tank is going to take all of us out. We just have to track him down. And a lot of times, guys, the light tanks will try to evade the entire game. It's a different story if it's, going to be the winning kill. But in this case, we're definitely ahead on tanks. So, in this case, yeah, if he evades us the entire game, then there's not really going to be a whole lot, to worry about, because we're still going to win. Now, as far as, auto lock and aim goes, you're going to see me on certain tanks that I have set up do a little bit more auto locking than normal, just because I can trust the tank and the gun to make the shot. This one, I was just kind of feeling out, so I kind of aimed everything. 17, 34, 12, 52, so 29, about a little under 3K combined. Not great, but not awful. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys next time.